The last presentation is about cyber warfare, just for the bullshit bingo here. Well, in fact, I have a PhD in military technology sciences, and my PhD thesis is about cyber warfare and the connection between the hacker subculture and the military. So I'm really interested in this area. Well, I was the one of the main organizers of Hacktivity a few years before. I made this show for 5 years from the beginning. So I like hacker subculture. I like hackers. I like hacking. I can't do hacking, but I like hacking. Like hackers. I like the subculture. I like the whole thing that is in Hacktivity. Well, I didn't understand the word about the last presentations, but are the Russian brigades somewhere here? Hey, Russian guys, are you here? No? Ah, bad news, because I have a question for them. Is there anyone from India? Oh, I also will have a question for you. Is there anyone from China? From Syria? From Israel? From Pakistan? From Bangladesh or something? Do you know anything about the subculture of the Bangladeshi hackers, or do you know anything about the Estonian hackers? No? Well, I didn't know anything about these hacker subcultures and the military hackers of these countries, but I'm really interested in this topic, so I made a study. And you will see the result of this study. Well, in fact, a few months ago, I've seen a video on YouTube that came from NATO, and that initiated my research, and you will see the results of that. Let's see. Okay, started. This is the first time with Prezi, so I don't really know how it will work, but I hope it will work somehow. Net or something? Ah! Okay. Is there anyone? As I mentioned, this is my first time with Prezi, but to be honest, I don't like Prezi. Okay. Internet connection? Right. Bad news, because that was a very good video, and I don't know. Internet, yes, I hope. Okay, start again. Because without the videos, you won't understand my words. And I don't like speaking in English for 45 minutes, so YouTube can substitute me. Let's try again.
NATO defense ministers are meeting in Brussels this week to hold the first ever dedicated review of the alliance's cyber defense efforts. It's a sign that the issue of cyber defense has reached the very top of NATO's agenda. Given the evolving nature of the challenge, the alliance needs to continuously develop its capabilities to improve threat detection, reduce vulnerabilities, and respond faster to attacks. These same issues were also the subject of a very different gathering in Amsterdam recently. At the IT security conference Hack in the Box, many of the world's leading hackers and IT security professionals learnt about the latest trends and threats in cyberspace. Edward Schwartz works for RSA, an IT security company that counts NATO among its customers.
Many of the people here work in some aspect of computer network defense, whether it's working for a government agency, a bank, an energy company. They're going to try to figure out how can we get better at what we're doing. And that's really what this is about, is getting better techniques, becoming faster, becoming smarter. And these conferences that are technical in nature really help provide those capabilities and skills to these very elite technicians and engineers.
Dylan Kanabiran is a hacker turned IT security professional who founded the conference. His motto is keep knowledge free. The best way to make cyberspace more secure, he says, is by sharing information with everyone, the public, industry, governments and the military.
It's starting to improve, so everything has to start somewhere. You can't expect it to be an overnight solution. I think the fact that you do see a few more military and as well as law enforcement people actually coming to conferences like Hack in the Box to learn, but to also have discussions. And I think that's the main thing. It's actually that to realize that you don't know everything, and there might be somebody out there who knows something that you don't, and it's worth having conversation and at least just hearing them out.
Those conversations do take place informally at events like this, Schwartz confirms. He says collaboration against cyber threats is vital, as attacks are increasingly becoming too sophisticated for any one organization or country to deal with alone.
If one country or one organization is trying to just defend themselves without collaborating with others, it's like living on an island. You know, you're being attacked and you're wondering, why is it happening to me? So organizations like NATO, Europol, Interpol, other organizations in the US that perform collaboration, it's the power of many collaborating with one another that really gives the power of intelligence, the power of collaboration. You can find out about these attacks, share that information among one another, and have a lot more leg up on the adversary, a lot more success in terms of detecting and stopping what they're doing.
Last year alone, NATO dealt with over 2,500 cases of abnormal cyber activity and intrusion attempts. The alliance is considering the scope for increasing its collaboration, sharing more information, more common training, and establishing best practices are just some of the issues on the agenda. Schwartz says the military has been taking the threat seriously, but it's a fast-moving target.
I think that the military and certain aspects of the government sector have typically been on the leading edge of a lot of this. That's true in the US, it's certainly true in a lot of Europe. It's definitely true, in the UK and in other parts of the world. I visit a lot of the world, and I believe that to be true. So, I think while some people may see the government as slow to respond in some categories of what they do, in cybersecurity, the military has recognized for a while that this is a very important area, and they need to invest in it.
Jim Manico teaches webmasters to create more secure websites, both professionally and for a charity called OWASP. For him, sharing knowledge freely is all about leveling the playing field so that no one group, organization or nation can get too far ahead of the game and dominate cyberspace.
This is like another new era. It's another form of weapon. It's the world of cyber. So I see the U.S. migrating into Army, Navy, Air Force, Cyber Force, Marines. It's a whole other branch of the military that I feel is needed. I think it's critical for NATO, just like you had to, once upon a time, build new aircraft and hire the first generation pilots and train them. And NATO is going to need to mature those capabilities. It's just a fact of life right now.
Whether such cyber forces will be a fact of life in future remains to be seen. While the alliance is intent on developing its cyber defenses, the debate on how best to do so has only just begun. I'm Mike Mühlberger reporting for the NATO channel from Brussels.
Hey, wait. Military officers talks about hacking. Something wrong. I remember the times where the hackers were enemies, the hackers were the refugees, and where the hacker subculture hates these officials. Do you know the Spot the Fed game at DEF CON? There are the feds. Hey, something went wrong. I remember the hacker ethic from the early 80s, which says, mistrust authority, promote decentralization. Just a quote. The best way to promote the free exchange of information is to have an open system that presents no boundaries between a hacker and a piece of information or an item of equipment that he needs in quest for knowledge improvement and time online. Hackers believe that bureaucracies, whether corporate, government, or university, are flawed systems. Government are flawed systems. And governments want us, want you. And we want a close connection between the government and us. Do you know these guys? For a free, brain-blowing alcoholic drink, can anyone tell us 2 sentences about these guys? Anyone? Hands up. Free beer. Please. No one. Okay. Do you know Mitnick? Do you know Stallman? Yes? Poson? He was a refugee, you know. Now he's an author of Wired magazine. Wozniak, you know him. Assange, before WikiLeaks, and the Australian hacker. What do you think about what would they think about this new star of the hacker conference? Do you know this guy? Do you remember the morning? General Keith Alexander, where is my paper, just to be correct? Well, Keith Alexander is a 4-star general in the United States Army who currently serves as a director of the National Security Agency, chief of the Central Security Service, and commander of the United States Cyber Command. And he is the star at DEF CON and Red Hat. And now the first presenter of Hacktivity was the leader of the local NSA. Something is going wrong. Why? Check out this map and try to remember the colored parts of this map. This map is about the conflict, the world conflict map. There, on the upper corner, you can see command boxes. The command boxes show cyber attack. Cyber attack against the United States, cyber attacks against the European Union, cyber attacks somewhere in Central Asia, cyber attacks somewhere in the eastern part of Asia. I don't know why this figure count appears there. So these are the conflicts: India, United States, Europe, Russia, China. This is the beginning. And let's see why the hacker subculture talks with the government, why this hacker subculture talks with the military. News flash, I will show you news flashes from the last 2 months, for example, and you will understand why. The NSA is hiring about 1,500 people in the fiscal year, which ends September the 30th, and another 1,500 next year, most of them cyber experts. It also engages in cyber spying and other offensive operations, something it ever discussed publicly. Well, offensive security, computer network exploitation, as the military says. This is a need. Who knows the computer network exploitation? Who knows hacking? Hackers, of course. How can the countries, different countries, how can the military can get experts who can do this computer network exploitation? From where? And this is the big question. Well, the United States think that if they found foundation, if they initiate a program, there will be hackers who can make good hacks, good offensive attacks. So they founded a program at Pentagon. The newsflash said the hacker turned defense official decrying the government's slowness to change rolled out a new program on Thursday that would enable the Pentagon to more quickly fund hackers to tackle its tough cybersecurity challenges. Who was the leader of this challenge? Well, Peter Zatko. Do you know who is he? Yes, Mudge. And who is Mudge? Laughed, yes. And so on and so on. Peter C. Zatko, better known as Mudge, was a member of the high-profile hacker think tank, The Loft, as well as the long-lived computer and culture hacking cooperative, the Cult of the Dead Cow. In 2010, Mudge accepted a position as a program manager at DARPA, where he oversaw cybersecurity research. Mudge now works for Google in Motorola's Advanced Technology and Projects Division. Mudge was a hacker, and he was hired by the government. Surprise. Why? Because they need hackers. This is a job offering from Booz Allen Hamilton. Where we could meet with Booz Allen Hamilton? Another name. Snowden, yes. Thank you very much. What Booz Allen Hamilton really needs for US Cybercom? Linguistic analytics jobs, university students, tactical applications engineer, software reverse engineer, physical security specialist, weapon system training analyst. And what the US Army Cyber Command really needs? The Army Cyber. Cyber warriors need it. Cyber warriors. So, do you feel that you want to be a cyber warrior as hackers? Do you really need that kind of connection? Where? The Army wants you now. And what should you know? as a reverse engineer or ethical hacker. Key roles: support the government client by performing analysis and reverse engineering of hardware, firmware, embedded systems, RF signals, network devices, and protocols. Perform security testing and vulnerability analysis of data communications and telecommunication networks. Leverage a good understanding of network data flow and protocol stacks. Work with a diverse team of experts performing penetration testing to find exploitable vulnerabilities in hardware, firmware, software, and communication protocols. But why? Because there are the Chinese hackers. What do we know about the Chinese hackers? Everything, because there is a study from Northrop Grumman, hard words, Northrop Grumman, from Brian Krakel, Patton Adams, and George Bakos, who wrote about, about the Chinese hackers, the Chinese cyber warfare capabilities. What is the key elements of this study? Universities. There are some military academics in China, such as the Academy of Military Sciences in Beijing, which the role. PRC Military's main body for military science research and strategy and doctrine development. Recent EMS research studies relevant to information warfare focus on the operational use of computer network exploitation, US network-centric warfare models, and foreign military information management structures. Okay, there is the National Defense University also in Beijing. Trains the nation's military command leaders. Recent NDU research studies relevant to information warfare focus on foreign military informatization and information warfare approaches. Okay, there is the Wuhan Communications Command Academy at Wuhan. Trains 3rd Department Mid-Level Communications Command and so on and so on and so on. And there is the National University of Defense Technology in Changsha and the Information Engineering University in Chengdu. And these are just the military academics. And there are other academics in this study, which are civil academics, and which also teaches Chinese students for information security, for information warfare, for computer network exploitation. There are a huge amount of people there who wants to work as a, what was the name? Cyber warrior. Why? Just a small remark. In the 90s, in the 90s, and in the early 2000s, 2Ks, we can see a very interesting journey from China to abroad, mainly to the United States, mainly to the technology academies, for the technology universities. And then the United States accepted this immigration from China. The universities, as they give out the knowledge, they encourage the knowledge transfer, and the Chinese students went back to China, and they do something there. But what? What about the subculture? Do you know anything about the Chinese hackers? We always read about Chinese hackers, and we want to know why there are 5 military universities and why there are another myriad of civil universities that deals with information security. Because they like hacking. Because the hacker subculture is very trendy. Because the hacker guys are stars. Because the girls like hackers. As I found a very good article, article at the internet, which has a key sentence. Hackers are pervasive, their imprint inescapable. There are hacker magazines, hacker clubs, and hacker online serials. A 2005 Shanghai Academy of Social Sciences survey quotes hackers and rock stars, with nearly 43% of elementary school students saying they adore Chinese hackers. I want to be adored, but I will never be adored, unfortunately. I will never be a rock star. 1/3 say they want to be one. This culture thrives on a viral internet-driven nationalism. They want to be hackers. They like hackers. And the Chinese boys, and girls maybe, want to be hackers. So they go to these universities and they study how to be a hacker. And of course, the military has a very broad range of hackers. As I remember, 300,000 hackers in this subculture. If you want to know more about, just read The Dark Visitor from Scott G. Henderson, and this gives you a very good overview in English about the hacker subculture. So, remember, they want to be hackers, hackers are stars, and they are nationalists. The military, the government usually don't really need to give out an order to deface a web page, for example, because there are young guys who can do the deface, who can do the DDoS, and who can ruin the enemies of China. Okay. Go to the neighborhood, the two Koreas, the best students of the United States, the best students of China and Russia. South Korea, what do we know about South Korea?
Its TV networks were forced offline by malicious code. A virus meant banks couldn't trade. For a few hours, South Koreans tasted cyber war. Now more than ever, it says, it needs cyber warriors to fight it.
Look, they even call it the war room, but in fact, this is just a class at the Korea University where South Korea says it's raising a cyber army, and these are its soldiers. Now, we've been told that we can't really show the faces of the students sitting here. They're doing a course in cyber warfare, in code breaking, and in psychology, because many of them will go on to work for the South Korean military on the front lines of the battle for cyberspace. All right, well, one of the trainees here has agreed to speak to us on condition that we don't identify her except by her cyber name, which is Christine. Christine, thanks very much for talking to us. Why have you decided to become a cyber warrior?
As you know, security is not just a problem in here. There were recent cyber terrorists in Korea happening, so that made me to want to fight for my country.
They've got 3,000.
Yeah, they have 3,000 cyber warriors.
Right.
North Korea, the main enemy here, is believed to have a formidable cyber army itself, according to the professor training the South's cyber force.
North Korea has been regularly attacking South Korean cyberspace and even paralyzed it in 2009 and 2011. Including the attacks on banking systems and other industries, we believe that the economic loss in South Korea's cyberspace could be hundreds of millions of dollars.
Do you feel that you are a soldier, that you are fighting a war?
Not yet. I'm still a university student, but I always have mind of protecting my country in my sight. But after I graduate and become a real soldier, then I will feel like a real soldier then.
Fighting a war many South Koreans feel they can no longer afford to lose. Matthew Chance, CNN Seoul.
I want to meet a female cyber warrior. Really. But, well, good morning, South Korea. The cyber warfare is in your neighborhood. You are living in the most networked, most interconnected countries. Surprise, it is under attack, and you just try to develop your capabilities to defend against cyber warfare. Well, yes. And how do they know this? Well, have a close cooperation with the United States. United States and South Korea join forces to prevent cyber attacks by North Korea. Why do they really need the United States Army? Because they don't have good hackers, because they don't have good computer network experts. Why? I don't know. Do you know the South Korean culture, the South Korean society? I think because, well, they like living in a good mood, they like to play on the internet, they like buying from Tesco online, and so on and so on. But well, warfare is not their job, not their game. So let's put a price on cyber defense and try to get hackers to the military, because the South Korea need hackers to defend their countries. And what North Korea really does in this time. That blind spot there, that is North Korea. But there are cyber forces. I don't know whether these cyber forces are these are truths or just imaginary, but many sources, even South Korean sources, said that there are a few cyber forces in North Korea. This Unit 110, also known as the Technology Reconnaissance Team, was most likely responsible for the July 2009 DDoS attacks against the US and the South Korea. Unit 35, also known as the Central Parties Investigations Department, is the smallest group but is responsible for both internal defense and offensive capabilities. Unit 204, also known as the Enemy Secret Department Cyber Psychological Warfare Unit, has about 100 hackers. Unit 121, also known as the Korean People's Army Joint Chiefs Cyber Warfare Unit, has over 600 hackers and would be responsible for disabling South Korean C3 command, control, and communications functions in case of armed conflict. There are many hackers, but why? I found a very good article from Al Jazeera, and let me quote a few sentences from this article. Kim Hong-kwang was a computer science professor in North Korea. Kim told Al Jazeera that as of last year, North Korea has produced more than 3,000 hackers serving in the north and abroad in China, Russia, and elsewhere. Kim said students who graduate at the top of their classes in several selected primary schools all over the country and show excellence in science and mathematics are selected to be enrolled in the elite Kumsung 1 and 2 high middle schools in Pyongyang. The North Korean education system groups middle and high schools together into a 6-year program. There's a pyramid-like prodigy recruiting system where smart kids from all over the country, students who are good at math, coding, and possess top analytical skills, are picked up to be grouped at Kumsung, he said. When they graduate, they are sent to attend North Korea's top technology institutes and universities, such as the Kim Il-sung University, Kim Chak University of Technology, and various others in Pyongyang and Hamhong, which is a city near the country's eastern coast. Following an expedited two-year program at university, students are sent to China or Russia for about 1 year to solidify their knowledge of hacking and other technical skills. After the overseas training, they are placed in various warfare units to serve as cyber warriors, Kim said. So, again, cyber warriors came from the schools, came from even the elementary schools. So, in North Korea, as Al Jazeera said, being a hacker is like being a rock star. It's being the sixth wife of the youngest Kim or something. So being a hacker is a good job. Right. And back to India. Okay, so we have a different country. Also have, as we heard from this morning, had a very strange operation, which called Operation Hangover, against Pakistan, as we heard, against Pakistani targets, which is a classical APT against Telenor in Norway. But who are under these hackers? Do you know these guys? Do you know these guys? Sorry? Personally? Okay, please introduce them first. Just two sentences. Who are they? To the microphone, please.
Ankit Fadia runs courses on security, and he's written books and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Pranam Mistry, I've just heard his name. That's all.
And you?
Yeah, I know Vivikram Handan from Security Tube and several books, trainings from Belgium government and much more. He was a former Cisco iOS programmer for like 12 years, invented the Cafe Latte attack and much more.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Okay, I read the original biography of them. Right. So, Ankit Fadia. Ankit Fadi is an independent computer security and digital intelligence consultant with definitive experience in the field of internet security based out of the Silicon Valley in California, USA. He was authored 14 internationally best-selling books on numerous topics related to computer security that have been widely appreciated by both professionals and industry leaders the world over. His books have sold a record 10 million copies across the globe, have been translated into Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, and Polish, and are also being used as a reference textbooks in some of the most prestigious academic institutions around the world. He was one of 8 people named MTV India's Youth Icon of the Year for the year of 2008, and he was even a star of MTV India. So, a hacker who starred in MTV India. Just imagine my friend Buharatori, for example, in MTV Hungary. I want to see him. Pranav Mistry is a research assistant and a PhD candidate at MIT Media Lab. Sixth Sense has recently attracted global attention. Among some of his previous work, Pranav has invented Mouseless, an invisible computer mouse intelligent sticky notes that can be searched, located, and can send reminders and messages, a pen that can draw in 3D, and a public map that can act as Google of physical world. Pranav has commercialized this invention, the Sixth Sense, and the Sixth Sense is now being actively used at NASA. It is rumored that Facebook tried to acquire the technology from Pranav for reportedly $2 billion and 5% ownership of Facebook, but Pranav decided to open source it instead. He's currently working with Samsung company presently. Sunny Vagela, one of the country's pioneering information security and cybercrime consultant, the young and dynamic personality of Sunny has not only assisted in solving complex cybercrime cases, but has also played an instrumental role in creating awareness about information security and cybercrimes. Vivek Ramchandran, how can I pronounce it? Well, he was the guest of Hacktivity 2 or 3 years ago. World-renowned security researcher and evangelist. His expertise includes computer and network security, exploit research, wireless security, computer forensics, embedded system security, compliance, and e-governance. He is the author of the books Wireless Penetration Testing Using Backtrack and the Metasploit Megaprimer, both up for worldwide release in mid-2011. And Kushik Dutta, responsible for Clockwork Mode recovery and ROM manager for Android routing and the core member of the famed Unrevoked team, has been a .NET developer from heart and had his internship initially at Microsoft and is a former MVP. He decided to leave Microsoft and hack Android cell phones like there was no tomorrow. Sony approached him after Geohot hummed them like anything, but he politely declined. They are the top hackers of India. I don't know them. I don't know whether they are the top hackers of India, but there was a contest to promote the hackers of India. I don't know who are the top hackers I know who are the top hackers of Hungary, but I didn't read about top hackers in the most well-known newspapers and websites in Hungary about the top hackers. The hackers in India, there are names, there are fame for them. They are also stars. They are also rock stars there, as I understand. And there are the Indian Cyber Army. What is this? What is the Indian Cyber Army? This is a hacker group who make hacks against enemies or against, well, different websites around the world, against institutes that are, what they think, are against India. They are nationalists, they are local Indian experts who hack for fun and for their country. Crazy, sorry. Back, okay, here it is. And there is also a cybersecurity pact with the United Kingdom. United Kingdom and India signed cybersecurity pact. So there is a hacking group. There is an official pact with the United Kingdom. Something strange. This is somewhere between the United States model, the South Korean model, and between the Chinese model. Well, border country. Okay. And a quick journey also in Asia, Israel. IDF hackers test readiness in Israel for cyber attacks. Israel also have computer network exploitation capabilities. Okay, Turkey. Turk hack team celebrates Turkey's Victory Day by hacking 350 websites. Turkey has a nationalist hacking group and anti-hackers to fight local international threats. Turkey has an official counter-hacker group. Controversially. Syria. We heard about the Syrian Electronic Army. They are very dangerous. They hacked the Wall Street. Iran. Last week, Iran denies cyber warfare chief was victim of assassination, but is investigating a horrific incident. Iran also has some kind of cyber warfare activities, capabilities. Well, as far as I know, there is a secret cyber war in Iran. You know, Stuxnet and so on and so on. Pakistan. There is the Pakistan cyber army against Indian targets. They are nationalist hackers who try to hack and DDoS different Indian sites. Bangladesh. What do you know about Bangladesh? You know anything about Bangladesh? Please tell us. I gave you the phone, the mic. Yes, it's poor. And there is the ocean, you know, the floods and so on and so on. And they have hackers, local hackers. A few months ago, there was a little cockfight between Bangladeshi and Indonesian hackers. What do you think, who wins this cockfight? The Bangladeshi sides. Chicken game, yes. Japan. Japan needs, how much is that? 80,000 extra info security bots to stay safe. Japan-US security talks likely to highlight Tokyo's cyber defense woes. We've heard about that before in South Korea, the South Korean model. Oh, just a reminder. Maybe you see the legal elements of cyber warfare now, the computer exploitation legal elements now. Pacts, local groups, we need hackers from the local community, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. But go to Russia.
That mysterious Russian hacker. Is he as scary as they say? RT caught up with a professional hacker who, for obvious reasons, chose to remain anonymous.
Everything is dependent on computers now. Bank cards, phones, everything functions through a computer, through an operating system, and all of it could be broken into and destroyed.
They often do it for the cash, but more often than not, the thrill and adrenaline is what drives their curious mind. In the past few years, the US has often fallen victim to Russian hackers. They've broken into the systems of major companies and even the Pentagon. America, as a leader in computer technology, is a juicy target for hackers.
I don't know if Americans are afraid of us, but we're definitely not afraid of them. Half of our country is made up of hackers. Why would we be afraid of the Americans when we're the ones stealing their products and their software?
The Russian police's cybercrime division, named Department K, has warned many times that Russian hackers are the strongest in the world, and it's extremely hard to catch a hacker red-handed.
I was arrested, taken to 3 prisons in 3 weeks, then let out on bail and couldn't return to Russia for 6 months because of the American justice system.
Dmitry Sklyarov's arrest several years ago exploded into a frenzy of outrage among the public, both in the US and abroad. At a computer conference in the United States several years ago, Dmitry showed how easy it is to break through the PDF format and was arrested by the FBI. He became a symbol of the fight for a programmer's freedom and was soon released from an American prison. Dmitry is now an IT professor at a prestigious Russian computer science university. The pro says he has never carried out any criminal activity using his knowledge.
Thankfully, no one ever came to me and said, help us commit this crime or else.
But Dmitry says if he had, it would have been impossible to catch him. The editor-in-chief of Hacker magazine, a how-to Russian publication, says it's not true all hackers are criminals. Nikita explained to RT the scale of what a hacker can do.
The scariest thing about what a hacker can do is not money loss, but human lives. Hypothetically, if a hacker broke into a system of satellite control, made satellites crash into each other and fall on Earth, let's say in Los Angeles, that's scary. State secret systems being broken into by hackers, maybe that's not such a bad thing. This doesn't influence individual human lives. That's something that states and corporations should worry about.
One of the problems with catching a hacker is that there's no unified international law for internet crime. Bringing charges against someone based in another country is extremely hard to do. So until there's a strong legal mechanism against them, hackers have lots of time and opportunities to keep up the cyber attacks. Anastasia Churkina, RT.
Okay. Hey guys, from Russia. Are you here? What do you think about that? For me, Russia is like a black hole and like the Higgs boson. I couldn't even find any information about cyber warfare capabilities of Russia, about the hacker subculture of Russia. I found an article at Wikipedia which says that we have no official information about cyber warfare in Russia. We have just rumors. So that is why I said this is a black hole. But all signs, there are numerous signs that something is happening in Russia. For example, all current announced cyber wars affected Russia, such as Estonia and Georgia. Russian gangs are key players in organized cybercrime. It used to be a connection between authorities and criminals, as we know. North Korean sources mention Frunze Academy as a top institute in cyber warfare. And as Vicky writes, these activities are coordinated by the signal intelligence of FSB and Ministry of Internal Affairs. And we know, and we saw before, that Russian hackers have very strong skills. That is why I said that this is like the Higgs boson. So there are various signs that something interesting happens in Russia, and I want to know what. Because now I only have guesses. My guess is that the Russian officials will deny their capabilities for a while, because this belongs to their secret service. Maybe there is a strong unofficial connection between secret service and hacker groups. Maybe. I try to emphasize maybe. Maybe the military uses this connection, maybe, just like in Estonia. It was there was no evidence, no official evidence that the DDoS attack against Estonia was organized by the Russian government. There might be a strong knowledge of cyber warfare leadership, which is an export item for other countries, such as to China and to North Korea and to nowhere. They might have skills for devastating cyber attacks. Read Rosanovich Zero D book, because that is a very good fiction about the Russian capabilities. But I'm sure that they won't unhide these capabilities for a while, for a long. So all eyes on Russia, because I'm really interested in what happens in Russia, and I hope I will know in one day. And I have only 1 minute for a 2-minute video.
Britain has invested massively in protecting itself in cyberspace. GCHQ works to protect critical national infrastructure, while until now, defence has concentrated on protecting itself. But now the Defence Secretary has announced a more aggressive stance.
The threat is real, but simply building cyber defences is not enough. As in other domains of warfare, we also have to deter. So I can announce today that Britain will build a dedicated capability to counterattack in cyberspace, and if necessary, to strike in cyberspace as part of our full-spectrum military capability.
It's the first time any of the established cyber powers has admitted an offensive capability, and using the threat of cyber attack as a deterrent poses problems.
Building a weapon, building weaponized code that is able to actually damage a target requires knowing the target first. And knowing the target first means you have to penetrate the target first with intelligence operations to actually know parameters of the target. In other words, building a weapon, building offensive capabilities here means you have to attack first in order to build the weapon. And this is a little paradox that I'm sure some people haven't fully considered before making those statements.
The Defence Secretary also announced that next month the forces will start recruiting IT experts as reservists. The Joint Cyber Reserve Unit will be trying to recruit the kinds of people who spend their day job protecting big business in the City of London or elsewhere. They'll be working alongside regular colleagues from the Joint Cyber Units at Caution or at GCHQ. The idea is that they'll be able to bring their unique skills to bear in support of national security. There are hints the terms of service for this specialist work could differ from standard recruits, but the unit's creation gels firmly with the government's stated aim of boosting the reserves as a whole. Will Inglis, Forces News.
Crying like a little baby. Oh, we are under attack. We need counter-attack capabilities. We need hackers. We need reservists. This is the United Kingdom, you know, the base of the GCHQ, Snowden. What happens in Germany, the controversial country? The map on the left. Do you know what is this? Germany. The German, know the points, the red points there. The local clubs of the Computer Chaos Club, CCC. There are many hacker clubs in Germany. And CCC is the only hacker club where I found the original hacker ethics. Hacker ethics. Hacker ethics. There are many hackers. But in the cybersecurity strategy for Germany, I didn't find a word about computer network exploitation or counterattack or cyber strike or even attacking. No attack. Do you remember the joke from the Iraqi war, which said that the best rap singer is white, the best golf player is black, and the Germans don't want to fight? This is the reality in the cyber world. They don't want to fight. And if you read the National Cybersecurity of Estonia, the only victim of a cyber attack, you can read they don't want to fight, they don't want to attack, they want to protect their countries. How? They need reservists from the hackers, from computer security experts. They want to lay a foundation of a cyber unit inside the Estonian Defense League. Defense, not the attack, the Defense League. And in Hungary, well, we have now a ministerial order which says that our military needs to establish cyber defense, not the attack, the defense one. Sorry, it's in Hungarian. I didn't find the English version of that headline. But we have Hacktivity. We have a long relationship with officials. At the hint for the Hacktivity history game, at the first Hacktivity in 2003, there was a little, how can I say, bug in the homepage of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, which was used. On the next year, Dr. Tibor Peszlek, who was at that time the leader of the Hungarian Internet Police, invited Hacktivity, and we have a very strange conversation about the relationship between hackers and the police. Tibor is also here now, and he will join the party this time, so I hope that I will have a good conversation about what he saw 10 years ago about hacker communities. And then we invited Dr. Lajos Muha, who had also had a presentation today, who is, you see, an officer. And we had interesting presentations from Dr. László Kovács, who is also an officer. So we have a good connection with officials. We have a good connection with the military. We have a good connection now, 10 years after the first Hacktivity, with the police. We have a very good connection. Do we have any connection with the secret services? I don't know, but spot the Fed. But as far as I know, on the first Hacktivity in 2003, there were 50 people, and 15 of them from the police, the military, and the secret services. So they are participating from the first time of Hacktivity. And in 2009, I asked you, the participants of Hacktivity, that what do you think about about hacking for the military. If your homeland needs you, what do you do? And you said that you want to help for free. Most of them, 60% said that you want to help for free for your country. Nationalist patriotism is here. And our country, our military, doesn't want to use this resource for computer network exploitation, just for defense. Why? To summarize my words. Because there are different ways, 4 ways in the world to develop cyber warfare, cyber attack, computer network exploitation capabilities. The US way. If you had good signal intelligence capabilities, and you are a Western democracy or an allied partner of a Western democracy, and you have strong IT industry, and the IT security knowledge comes from a civil university, you can talk much about cyber defense. Too much, I think, sometimes. And you try to recruit from the civil experts because you don't have your own experts from the schools. You want to hire from the hacker subculture. And if you have these capabilities, you will have both the offensive and the defensive capabilities. This is the USA, the UK, South Korea, India, Israel, and Japan. The other way, the Russian-Chinese way, they also have good SIGINT capabilities. They have a communist heritage in their military, and this is not a bad word. This is just the fact. Because NATO and the Warsaw Pact were developed in a different way. And cyber warfare capabilities, I think, matches better for the communist heritage. I see. 1 minute, please. They have good engineers who are quite good in IT. They have military schools for cybersecurity, and they have knowledge from the Western universities, because the Western universities gave the knowledge to these people. And it seems that everyone tries to blame you with hacking, but what? But you state innocence, yes. So everyone said that Chinese are bad, Russians are bad, they are hackers, they are bad guys. And they usually said that I'm innocent, I don't have this kind of capabilities, sorry. But we think that they have plenty of well-educated cyber soldiers, and they have mainly offensive capabilities because their infrastructure not as developed as, for example, in the United States. Examples, Russia, China, and North Korea, where we don't even know IT infrastructures. The Patriot way is, if your army is ready for a traditional conflict, you are a developing Asian country, your economy is not IT or network-centric, but IT security experts work abroad, mainly in the United States. This knowledge comes from abroad, and there are hacker communities in your country. You don't talk about cyber defense so much, but talk about your problems with neighborhood countries. And you have patriot hackers, and you have offensive capabilities. You will act like Syria, Iran, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Turkey. And last, the European way, our way in the European Union. We have SIGINT capabilities that need for the NATO and self-defense. Well, IT is a strong part of our economy. IT security knowledge comes from civil universities, mainly only a few military universities teaches cyber warfare. We feel that everyone against us, the Americans, the Chinese, the Russians, everyone wants to attack us. So we try to recruit from civil experts as officers or as reservists, because reservists are the better way, maybe. They are not officials. We need small military, small armies. And we have just defense capabilities. Just defense. No offense. We don't want offensive security. We just have defensive security. Is it good? What do you think? Is it good? The best? Is it bad? I don't know. Okay. Examples, Germany, Estonia, and Hungary, and the other European countries. Just to finish my words, we can see now that cyber warfare is one of the most important elements of a modern army. There are different ways to develop these kind of capabilities. We have the choice. How can we encourage this kind of capability? And this capability will use the hacker subcultures. And you hackers, we hackers, have to decide whether we cooperate with the military or cooperate with the government. Okay, skirts off. My final words. Thank you very much.